All right, everybody, welcome back to the Friday Night Prepper pre-party show. And boy, are we going to light some fires tonight. Wow, there was a lot going on in the news today. I had to do a lot of research to get ready for this one. And I'm sure that in the process of this, we're going to probably tick off a few people. But hey, you know what? We come here to speak our truth. We always welcome disagreement here. It's okay to disagree. Let's get to that in a minute. But first, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor for tonight's video. So tonight is sponsored, of course, by my friends at AppMex. AppMex is my choice for silver and gold. You can order online safely. I've been using them for years. They've been around for years. You couldn't possibly run a company that wasn't legit in silver and gold and last for years unless you were delivering the products that people ordered. And one thing I want to show you here before we go on to our topic is when you go over to AppMex, and you can use my link in down below, and there's also in the description down below if you want a clickable link, easy enough to do. When you go on their website, I want you to go over to gold and then scroll down to where it says on sale. Always check this first to see what's on sale. I know some of those like are big ticket items like that one there, $3,865. But then if you go up here and you click sort by low to high, okay? And then we're going to refresh, and then you got some low. Wait a minute. What do I do here? Why did it do that? Sort by. Oh no, see, it didn't do it. Hang on. Low to high. There we go. All right. And then you've got some more affordable fractional gold, small bars, things like that available to you. Same thing. When you go up here to silver, you can go over and scroll on sale. You can also check clearance. Let me check the clearance here with you real quick. And you can check what is on clearance over there, what the prices are. And as you can see, silver has gone up quite a bit too. It's been a great year for silver and gold. If you're looking at it and you're saying, wow, these prices have gone up so much from when I last looked at it. Yeah. Where do you think they might be in a year? Nobody can guarantee it, but things are certainly looking good. So let's go price low to high here again, and let's see what comes up for us. Whoops. For some reason, it is not refreshing easy for me. There we go. All right, so you can see you've got some other options like a half ounce there at $32. All different countries from around the world that create silver, that mint their silver. You've got some fun blocks there like those Tetris blocks, branded items like the NASCAR coin there. Anyways, there's lots here for everybody. I want you to check them out. Thank you so much, AppMex, for sponsoring my videos and being a great partner to work with. If it wasn't for my brands that I work with, this all wouldn't be possible, okay? So you guys know the rules here. No racism, no sexism. Be kind to the moderators. If you have any kind of disagreements, either with me or somebody else in chat, just articulate what you're trying to say. We're here to learn from each other. You certainly can change a person's mind. There's been many times where I've had a talking point. Somebody from the audience says, yeah, Sarge, but did you know this? Blah, 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 blah. And I've changed my thinking. So it is possible. And that's one of the things that we try to promote here is that we solve our disagreements with words, not weapons. Okay. So make sure you're voted in the poll at the top. In fact, let's go over and check that out right now. Let's see how this is doing. So I got a poll. You guys know that the generals and admirals, all the highest level military leaders, are being gathered at Quantico next Tuesday. And it's top secret. Nobody's telling us what this is about. I want you to vote what you think this is about, right? So choices are, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens, right? Like we got this weird comet that's coming into the solar system. Actually, it's in the solar system now, that a lot of people are saying this is really weird. Personally, I just think it's something that we've never seen before. I don't think it's an alien ship or whatever. But hey, wouldn't that be cool if it was? And if you haven't been paying attention, this one's not making a lot of the news for mainstream media, but the United States has a fleet of warships around Venezuela right now, and we've been bombing a lot of the boats coming out of there that have drugs on them. So is this gathering of the generals and admirals, is it possibly related to that? There's also been Russian drone incursions into European and recently Alaska airspace, some of the, not just drones, but fighter jets. Could it be possibly about that? Trump has said to European allies, if something comes into the airspace, shoot it down. Could it be something about that? Or could this be, as a lot of people have been speculating, about mass firings that there's going to be a downsizing of military personnel. Nobody knows, or if they do, they're not going to be allowed to tell us, but let's just see what the audience says. All right. So that being said, let me check in with chat, and I've got a video coming for you on Tuesday, another knife review. If you get anything out of the value out of this, please consider giving me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to check in the description down below for product links and some discount codes that I think you'll like. Let's go ahead and say hi to chat now. I saw Scott and Sassy here early. Thank you so much, both of you. Really appreciate you warming up everybody when you came in early. I think I saw Orlando. Yep, Orlando Prepper. Thank you so much for joining. And Orlando, you and I, well, I guess it's not going to affect you so much as me. We got to watch that Hurricane Imelda. It's not a hurricane yet. We're going to talk about that next, I think. Utah Mike, thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Coffee first, then speak. It's good to see you. How are you all doing tonight? I hope you're all having a good Friday. Virginia Bushcrafter, always good to see you, my friend. Lazarus Long, how are you doing? I hope you're having a great Friday. Rural 2IC, I hope you are having a good Friday as well. Tuck by V1, thank you so much. I have no idea what it might be, so I chose what I hoped it would be. Out of those, honestly, the coolest thing would be is if it was aliens. But hey, you never know. Thank you, Orlando Prepper. Yeah, if you guys enjoy the video at all, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It helps me out a little bit. GD Bacon, how are you doing tonight? Well, you know what? I don't control what ads you guys get, which is kind of funny because we're going to scroll to a couple news stories here. And as I was looking at them, I got some weird ads myself. So we'll see what pops up for me. I keep getting these ads about like older men with needing testosterone boosters and stuff like that. So I don't know what they're trying to tell me, but I don't appreciate that, Google. Okay. I think my T levels are just fine. Yeah, so clearance, usually those are marked down a little bit, Sassy Gal. And a lot of times it's stuff that they're just like clearing out their shelves because they got to make room for new products. Grit and Grace Farming, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good Friday. Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Dangerous Freedoms, how are you doing tonight, Wayne? It's good to see everybody. Just scrolling down, making sure I didn't miss anybody. If I did, Burpee Yoga Uncle, thank you for joining us. Hope you're having a good Friday. All right. South Florida Douglas, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you as well. Cool. You guys are awesome. Wow. A lot of chatter tonight. I love it. You guys are killing me. I love it. I look forward to seeing you all every Friday. It's like the best part of my week, honestly. All right, cool. All caught up. I'm going to mark my star where I left off. Here we go. All right. So if there's a theme tonight, it's that don't believe everything that you see in the media and that statistics can be manipulated, right? But before I get into some of that funny stuff, let's talk about Hurricane Imelda. And I want to share the screen here with you. I think this is the right one. Yep, that's the one I want. All right, so if you look on the screen here, this is the latest on Hurricane Imelda, the spaghetti models. It is not a hurricane yet. It is probably going to turn into a tropical storm or tropical depression tomorrow, and then it's expected by landfall. It is probably going to become a Category 1. As you can see on those models, let me change the view here just a little bit. Can I make it so it's full screen? There we go. That's what I wanted. As you can see on those models, if you see those white lines there, the white spaghetti lines, those are leading where it hits landfall is right about where I live. So if you've ever wondered where old Sarge is broadcasting from, that's right about where I live. So yes, we are, of course, prepping as we do, not our first rodeo with a hurricane. In the community tab section, I put up my playlist for hurricane preps for anybody that's anywhere from Florida to North Carolina If you want a review on some of that, I know those of us who live in this area, we're all pretty experienced with this now. But if you're new to if you're new to the area, you might not be familiar with what to do. We started on our preps today. We think landfall is looking like sometime either Monday or Tuesday. It's going to depend on if this thing speeds up as it comes into land. So again, not our first rodeo. We're not worried about it. We're certainly not going to evacuate, but we definitely are going to start paying attention and putting our preps in. All right. Cool. And there we go. All right. So next, back to that theme of don't believe everything that you see or hear. How do I get rid of that? We don't need that. Stop sharing. Okay, cool. That's what we need. So now, share screen. This one here. This is what I want to talk about. So you probably saw headlines like this, right? Coming across your feed that Disney lost $3.8 billion in 24 hours because of the so-called boycott of Disney over the firing of Jimmy Kimmel. Our experts say no. This is not how this works, and this is why you can't believe everything you read on your social media feed. What happened was Disney stock lost valuation of about 1.9%. Okay, that is not considered like a true loss. A true loss would be like, what is their profits in next quarter? If their profits next quarter were down significantly, that's something that you would measure. But the day-to-day valuation of a stock goes up and down. And to be honest with you, you guys know that I do my day trading and swing trading. 1.9% is not a big deal in this market today. It's really not. I don't even really pay attention to a swing trade unless it's 4% or higher. So any of these big companies like Disney can lose 1.9% in a 24-hour period. And the next day it might be up 3%, and the next day it might be down 2%. That's just how it goes. So no, Disney did not actually lose $3.8 billion in 24 hours. This is a manipulation of statistics is what it is, which is, unfortunately, most people don't understand the stock market. What this means, they see something like this and they think that they really did lose close to $4 billion. No, their share price dropped by 1.9%, which is not unusual for on any given day to drop 2% or go up 2%. In fact, it's already recovered some of that. If you look at Disney's share price, which I didn't have this prepped for you, it was down below 90 only a few months ago. And now it's trading around, I think when I checked it today, it was around $113 per share. So it dropped to like, I can't remember. I think it was like $112 or $111 during this period. And that's what people were trying to make a story about. Folks, you gotta be careful where you're getting your information online. And again, remember, statistics can be manipulated, and don't believe everything. Everybody on social media has got an agenda, including me. Everybody's got an agenda. Don't believe everything that you see. Don't believe everything that you hear from your friends. The reality of the situation here is that no, Disney did not lose $3.8 billion. Did a lot of people cancel their Disney Plus memberships? That's the rumor. But we won't know until next quarter's earnings come in which they have to report to their shareholders how they did. Then we'll know if Disney really lost money or not. You cannot measure it in a 24-hour period by a share price. All right, let's go ahead and check your comments here before I go on to the next story. Great theme. Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation in the world. And sometimes I might even have misinformation by accident. Sometimes maybe I accidentally insert my own biases into things. I try not to, but I'm a human being as well. All the world's a stage. Great saying there. Cloudy with a chance of meatballs. We're going to get cloudy with a chance of flooding here is what we're going to get. Yes, exactly. Like, you call that a storm? You call that a storm? Yeah, and we won't even think about bugging out unless it's category 3, personally. Hey, Kentucky, it's good to see you. Hope you're having a good one. It could stall, and there's a couple other ways that that storm could end up not being too much of a problem, which I'm fine with that. All that means is that I'll have to go into work on Tuesday. Pop said nothing. Believe nothing you hear and half of what you read. Yeah. Humor of the polis aliens, but I doubt we're that lucky. Yeah, that's the thing. I hope you're having a good Friday, by the way, Chrome Dome. That's the thing. We all want the aliens, but I don't think it's going to be it. So funny enough about that, y'all, is that when I was young, my grandmother, rest in peace, she got like those National Enquirer and what were some of the other ones? The Sun. What were some of the other ones? You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, remember those tabloidy papers? And I, being a little kid, like 5, 6 years old, I would read those and think those stories were true. Like Elvis was still alive and JFK was still alive and JFK met with the aliens in the White House and stuff like that. I used to think those were true because how could they possibly put something in print if it wasn't true? A lot of people think like that with social media. I saw this thing on the internet, so it must be true. Disney must have lost $3.8 billion. By the way, if Disney really did lose $3.8 billion, if that comes in like that at the end of the quarter, which that's not what's going to happen here, but if it did, then people are going to get fired. Speaking of that Disney story, there's another piece to that, which is that the shareholders are actually now doing their own little inquiry into the decision making on that. I don't really have anything to report on that. Let's kind of see how that plays out. That could take months, honestly, before we have any updates on that. And if you remember the story, speaking of Disney, if you remember the story about them firing Gina Carano from Star Wars: The Mandalorian for some things that she posted on Twitter. She recently, as in like a couple months ago, won a settlement from them, undisclosed amount of money, and a lot of the terms of it were NDA, but she did get a nice fat paycheck from Disney for, I can't say wrongful termination because it's a settlement. Like, she didn't technically win the case, it's a settlement, but she got a nice fat check out of them. So it's all that's kind of interesting, right? When you think about the terms under which Gina got fired and then this happened with Jimmy. But where were all the people who were saying free speech for Gina when that happened? Now, I'm not saying I agreed with Gina either. And I didn't think what Jimmy said was okay. I thought it was really poor taste. But it's just interesting, right? Like, this is what I've been trying to talk about. People are getting mad at me, like, why are you supporting Jimmy Kimmel? What he said was awful. No, I'm not supporting Jimmy Kimmel. I'm supporting free speech. Just like I told you a couple months ago when we were talking about the flag burning thing. I don't agree with flag burning. It pisses me off. But I still think that it is part of free speech. I hope nobody ever does that in front of me because I might lose my temper and then you might have to post bail for me. There are consequences when people do things. And I said the American flag is a sacred symbol. And I don't think that people should desecrate a sacred symbol, but it might be protected by the Constitution. Now, I know recently there was an executive order on that. All of that's probably going to go to the Supreme Court, so we have to wait and see how that plays out. But I'm not defending what Jimmy Kimmel said. I think it was in poor taste. I'm defending free speech, and I want you to understand the difference. 83% of statistics are made up on the spot. That's probably true. I don't think about Disney ever unless somebody mentions them. Lies, dang lies, and statistics. Cool. All right. I'm just seeing if I get any questions from you or in Elvis died. Supposedly. Elvis, hey, Tammy, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. Elvis is not dead. He just went home. Amen. Yeah. Was it peanut butter and bacon or was it peanut butter and bananas that Elvis was into? Yeah, good point. Good point. Not a lizard person, though, too, because Elvis was a good dude. Elvis was a good dude. So we're not going to say he was a lizard. People are bad people. So maybe, what is it? The Pleiadians, the Nordic Pleiadians, that those are like the good aliens. So maybe he was one of those in disguise. I don't know. Oh, Dub Season, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Bail fund when Sarge goes off. We're going to need it. Y'all are too funny. We're all thanks for the help on the bail money, y'all. I don't want to go to jail, but I'm human too. I could lose my temper, right? Like somebody burns Old Glory in front of me, I could lose my temper. I can't promise that I wouldn't. I'll try not to. Let's see. The burning of the flag, that should be free speech. Everything else, yes. That should. Did you mean should or shouldn't be free speech? Bacon, peanut butter, and bananas. Okay, that's what Elvis liked. Bacon, peanut butter, and bananas. Gotcha. Fried in butter on a grilled cheese sandwich. Peanut butter and banana is fantastic, and I will say I've had peanut butter and bacon too. So like I've had toast where I had like one piece of bacon left, and that is really good too. So Vanessa Kitty, thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Gladriel, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. That might be in case I need to pay for protection money in jail. Thank you, Bacon. I appreciate it. Only thing I disagree with you on, Sarge, is that I don't think you can burn the flag and be free speech. Okay, gotcha. Scott, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I fought a charge and won. Yeah, not in jail is a good day. Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. I will someday. I'll tell you guys the story about the summer that I got 3 speeding tickets. Not tonight though. There's too much ground to cover tonight. But that did happen to me. I got 3 speeding tickets in one summer and fought all 3 and won all 3. But the last one is kind of a funny story. The judge kind of let me have it. So I will tell that story another day. All right. Don't forget, if you're just tuning in now, go to the top vote in the poll. What do you think the Quantico meeting on Tuesday is about? All the generals and admirals are being gathered for a top secret meeting at Quantico. Tell me what you think it is about. All right. This one's going to piss some people off, but we're going to do it. Tylenol. So here's another one where people don't understand research and how to read research. Now, I've said on here that I think that my graduate school and my undergraduate school, like some of it is a sham, guys. Like you have to pay to take classes that I already took in high school. Some of it is just a money-making sham in America's universities. But one class that I did get a lot of benefit out of was learning how to read statistics. Okay. Learning how to read and interpret statistics and know when data is being manipulated. Now, here's the problem. Most people will see a statistic and they believe it on face value and don't understand how to interpret it and what it really means. If I was to say to you that, I usually don't have sugar in my coffee. Okay. If I had sugar in my coffee this morning and then I had a car accident on my way to work, does that mean that sugar causes a car accident? No. Correlation doesn't mean causation. If we wanted to prove that sugar causes a car accident, what you would have to do, according to scientific methods, is you would have to replicate that data over and over and over again from multiple independent parties. Now, the problem with the Tylenol stuff is that it's been partially replicated, but there's been a lot of other research that has said, no, this data is junk. It's not adding up. We can't replicate it consistently. So here's what, guys, I work in the field of mental health. I've been working with the autism population for a long time. I'm actually a trainer where part of what I do for extra side money is I train other clinicians, large groups of people on how to work with the autism spectrum population. And part of my job in doing that is every year I have to read the latest research. Sorry about that. I hit the mic. I have to read the latest research and stay up to date on what's out there on autism. And so here's what I can tell you. We believe in the field, we believe that there's a genetic precursor that's distinctly tied into autism. And it's also tied into some other things in the brain, but I'm not going to go into all that tonight. But it's distinctly tied into autism. It can skip generations. So sometimes you might say, well, nobody in my family had autism, and now my child has autism, because it can unfortunately skip generations. The gene can go dormant. But we also think that the genetics alone are not enough, that there is another factor, a catalyst, if you want to call it that, or maybe a series of multiple catalysts. And we've looked at everything from stress to vaccines to Tylenol to different dyes, food chemicals, and things like that. And sometimes they will show some correlation, but we have a really hard time replicating it. And so until we can replicate it conclusively, repeatedly, with peer-reviewed studies over and over and over again at a statistically significant level, and that doesn't mean that every 100% of people who take Tylenol during pregnancy are going to develop this, but a statistically significant amount that we say, hey, there's something here, that's when you can say that there's a relationship. Okay, that's when you can say that it's more than a correlation, that there might be a causation here. Okay, we don't have that, guys. We don't have it. I know, because I've worked with this community, I know that people want answers. I get it. I really do. I understand how desperately we want to figure this out, but this is not it, guys. I'm sorry. And you can disagree with me, and you can cite the 26 studies and all these other things. By the way, here's another one, since people like to manipulate data. Sometimes you'll see like a little pop-up that will say like, all these studies prove, dye number 42 causes autism. And what it is, a lot of times, is one study, but multiple sources and newspapers and journal articles are requoting it. So that's not 26 studies. That's one study that's being requoted numerous times. That's another way that statistics get manipulated. And I've seen that a few times. People will do the, such and such causes autism link. Here's 26 articles about it. 26 articles, one research study. Okay. So I'm on top of this, guys. I'll stay with it. If I'm wrong, you guys know I've said this before. I will always come on and take accountability and say, hey guys, there's new data out. I'm wrong. I apologize. You can roast me now, but I'm just sharing, whether you want to hear it or not, whether you want to believe me or not. This is not a political thing. This is a medical thing. I'm just sharing with you what I know as somebody who is knee deep in this stuff every year, because I have to be. Okay. All right. Let me check your comments here. Dub Season, thank you so much. Never tell that one time in jail story. Yeah, statistics are so easily manipulated, unfortunately. The oldest. Oh, wow. Yeah, so that's something that not many people even know how to do now, is how to go look at the old journal abstracts and stuff like that. It's actually, I guess it's easier now with the internet, but it's not usually something that's taught unless you're in a field that requires you to do that. And I'll be honest, like, I hated statistics and research when I was in college and undergrad. I didn't enjoy it, but looking back on it, I'm thankful for like how it taught me how to read and interpret biases in the data and confounding variables and things like that. Yeah, you can bend them in a lot of different ways. Don't drop the soap. I will definitely try not to do that. So I'll use that $2 to buy some soap on a rope, y'all. I did, Tammy. I did. I will tell that story another day. I will tell how I beat three speeding tickets in one summer. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Here's the other thing, right? So in graduate school, I had a professor who downgraded me because we were asked to investigate a social program and report on it and either defend it or criticize it. Now, I chose to, because you guys know I love my first responders, I chose to do a deep dive into the DARE program, and I was able to prove statistically that DARE did prevent some kids from experimenting with drugs. My professor didn't like it because she was very much against the DARE program. She thought it was a colossal waste of money. And so she basically gave me a C- for that. Even though my paper was excellent and my data was excellent, she graded me just on my opinion, which I really don't like that. And I'll never forget that she did that. They're trying to make claims against me that they should do the research first. Yep, absolutely. Lies are lies, regardless of the form they take. Yep. Yes, coffee. I'm going to say that this is just my personal opinion. Okay, I'm not representing the medical community right now. I think that what we're eventually going to find is that, again, is just, I want to emphasize this is just my personal opinion. What I think we're going to find is that it's a conglomeration of factors, right? And that even with the conglomeration of factors, it doesn't always surface because there's still that genetic component. That's what I think ultimately will be the end result of all of this. But again, I'm not speaking for the community or clinicians or the autism community or anything like that. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, that's something I would discuss with your OBGYN. I'm not going to get into whether or not taking a lot of Tylenol is a good idea or a bad idea. You got to talk about that with your doctor. I think people have to weigh that against. So yeah, I'm going to say in general, yes, Tuck, what you're saying, I agree with. If you have periodic fever or you've got some severe pain, I think people have to weigh the consequence of that on the fetus too. Fever is not good for a fetus. Pain causes cortisol, which is not good for a fetus. So you have to weigh those and talk to your own doctor and make your own decisions. You definitely don't have to make your decisions and definitely shouldn't make your decisions about what you're doing with your pregnancy based on me. I am not an OBGYN. I'm not trying to imply that at all. I'm just telling you what I know about autism research. Good for you. Good for you, Vanessa. Bacon sticks with red wine when he's pregnant. All right, scrolling down. I got to keep this rolling here, guys. There's a small book written by MIT professor from that teaches higher dimensional geometry. Quote him. Yeah, that stuff is super fascinating. I wish I could do that level of mathematics. That stuff is really fascinating. The brain is incredibly complex. Yeah, exactly. You are correct. Although I will say from the 1990s, from when I started in this field to now, we are just scratching the surface, but we are eons beyond what we understood about the brain from when I started in the field because of MRIs. That's been huge. MRIs and being able to like track how different things work in the brain has like really brought neuropsychology and psychology to a whole nother level. But again, yeah, there's still a long way to go with all that stuff, but it's way more advanced than it was. Orlando Prepper, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, brother. This is true. Yep. Okay, cool. I think I'm caught up. Cool. All right. Next thing. So Quantico, we talked about. We're going to hit that again at the end. Tylenol, we talked. TikTok. Let's talk about TikTok. All right. So I think I got two more stories for you, and then we'll come back to the Quantico thing. TikTok, if you haven't heard, we allegedly have a deal worked out with China where 80% of it will be owned by US investors. It sounds like Oracle is going to be the manager of the data. It sounds like because there was a lot of information going back and forth where it wasn't clear what the true story was, because it did sound like for a while that you were going to have to download a new app if you're on TikTok. Now it doesn't sound like you're going to have to do that. It sounds like you'll still be on TikTok. You'll just be able to use the app that you're currently on, which will allow you to retain all of your followers if you're on there, that kind of thing. But Oracle will manage the data, and it sounds like there's this weird deal where China will still own the algorithm, but they will lease it to the United States, and the United States can tweak it and use it how they want. I don't know. I mean, I guess in some ways I think that's a good thing because I believe that the algorithm was not good for Americans. I think it was promoting dangerous things to young boys, like the Tide Pod Challenge, the Milk Crate Challenge, things like that. And I think it was promoting bad things to young girls, such as body dysmorphia and things like that. So I think the algorithm was a problem, and I think the storage of data was a problem. So both were potentially a national security risk or interest, however you want to think about that. I don't know how I feel about the U.S. government having a direct involvement in what the algorithm shows to us, and it's not clear if that's going to be, or if Oracle is going to act completely independent of government influence of that. It's not clear. I know that the government is guaranteed to have one seat on the board. I have some concerns about that. I know that our government now owns 10% of Intel, which I thought that was really weird. I don't think that the government is specifically going to own part of TikTok, as far as I can tell so far, in terms of the terms that have been released. But I do have some concerns on this. Overall, I think it's going to be a better, safer deal for TikTok users. I myself will probably go on there once everything's finalized. The reason I haven't been on TikTok is because of those two reasons that was mentioned, and because people that I trust that work in three-letter agencies warned me that was probably a bad idea to use that app. So I've been holding off. I will probably join it once it's run by the US, but I do have some concerns about where this all goes. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it. I know last week, I think 60% of my audience said that they thought this was a bad deal for the United States. All right. And then the last story I have here, give me just a second here. I got to load this one up for you. I got to close some windows here. I got way too many things open, and it's causing me, my ADD mind, to go a little bonkers. All right. Share screen. There we go. That's the story I want right there. All right. So did you see this one? The United States Secret Service broke up a telecommunications threat near the UN General Assembly. What is this? This was basically a bot farm. And they actually, I can scroll down and show you a picture of what it looked like. So all that is like phones and SIM cards being used, and they were doing not just scam calls, but they were doing they were testing like capacity for 911. Can we overload 911? Now I want you to remember back to what I've been talking about all year long on my channel with the sleeper cell threat. They Secret Service and Department of Homeland Security has said that foreign nationals are involved with this, but they're not naming which ones. I don't know specifically that this is connected to sleeper cell threats, but when I hear stories about a foreign national group that is trying to overload 911, and you think about some of the things that we've been talking about on this channel about how they want to get 911 preoccupied in a certain area so that they can basically do a double tap event and then rampage the area, it certainly gets my attention. Okay, now I know I'm making a bit of a stretch there. I'm getting a little bit conspiratorial there, but I want you to follow that story. That kind of made the news one day, and it's already kind of fading out of the news. We have to see what happens with this. Hopefully, they tell us who the group was at some point, but all they'll say right now is that Department of Homeland Security is saying that there was a foreign national group involved with this, and they won't name which one. We could all speculate. The United States has a few enemies. They have a few enemies with this level of capability, and to have somebody in the country, because this was in the United States that happened, to have somebody in the country doing this is, again, more confirmation that we have some kind of sleeper cell threat in the United States. Okay. And the other confirmation that we got of that, besides Sarah Adams, was when Iran threatened us to activate their sleeper cells. The United States said, yeah, we know there's sleeper cells in the United States. They're here, guys. Why haven't they acted yet? I don't know. They're waiting for something. They're waiting for a signal. I don't know. We can only speculate again, but this to me is definitely getting my attention. I'm going to be paying attention to this. I'll track it as best as I can. I want you guys to pay attention to this one as well. Okay. All right, let's get that one off the screen. Cool. All right, let's go back. I want to check your chat one more time, and then I'm gonna check the poll, and we're gonna call this one a night. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, and everybody's tolerance for pain is different too. Some people have a very high tolerance for both emotional and physical pain. Some people don't. Well, that doesn't sound fun. Yeah, that does not. I'm sorry, Vanessa Kitty. That does not sound fun. Gus Wolf, how are you doing? I hope you appreciate. I hope you're. I appreciate you. I hope you're having a good Friday. Yeah, that's a good point, Scott Hummer. That is a good point. Yeah, they already track our data. That's true. There was another story I heard today about how. Oh, I think it was Sassy Gal that sent it to me about how Life 360 was selling people's data. I'm not surprised, guys. I'm not surprised. There's big money in selling data. When we've talked about that on this channel, we said you are giving up some of your privacy when you do this. When you do almost anything with technology, you're giving up some privacy, and your data is probably being sold. When you use a smartphone, you're gathering a lot of data. They know which website you're going to. They're selling it to somebody. They know where you are. They know physically where you are. Ooh, lightning bolt does not sound fun, Vanessa. Yeah, we know that. And so also, I didn't even think about covering the story, but Google acknowledged this week, finally, which we all knew this, that they had been censoring conservative voices at the request of the Biden administration. That little story came up in the shadow of the Jimmy Kimmel story, and everybody just says, "Oh, okay. Well, that's different." No, it's not. Free speech is free speech. Okay. Free speech is not just for late night talk show hosts, folks. It's not. It's not just for comedians. And if we don't fight for it, if we don't make an issue out of censorship on social media, it's just going to continue to be whittled away. You can go look that story up yourself, because I didn't pull it up for tonight's stream. Google censorship Biden administration. You'll find it. Okay. Wayne says, I'm 100% against the government telling private companies what they can and can't do and owning any percentage of any company. Scott, yep, I agree. That's a really good point, Bacon. And I am going to say that it is the parents' responsibility ultimately to know what your kids are into on social media or on their tablets or phones, even if you're not letting them watch social media. Do you guys know, like, because I work with law enforcement, do you know how many creepy pedos there are that are on Roblox and Minecraft groups? It's gross, guys. Watch what your kids are doing. If they're on their little chat headset, you better be paying attention to who they're talking to. You're paying for that, parents. You are the one that's responsible for that, and you need to know who they're talking to, and you can take that away from them at any time. That's yours, not theirs, and you can take it away at any time, and you can demand to see everybody or who they're talking to in Discord. You can take the headset over and ask who it is. It is yours, not theirs. Remember that. How much of the car companies? I don't know the answer to that, but as that story about Intel was coming up, that was my thought of, like, all the bailouts that we gave to the auto industry. Why didn't we create some kind of dividend with that so that the taxpayers got money back on that? Right? You guys remember the bailouts for the auto industry? We should have, as part of that, it should have been a loan that the auto industry had to pay back in dividends to the American taxpayers. Whether or not you saw it directly or it goes into Social Security as an indirect or whatever, that's how I feel about that. Not that the US government should own it, but the taxpayer should own it because it's our money. Our money. A lot of government officials think that like that's their checkbook. No, no, no. No. That's our money. They'd love to spend it though, don't they? Was there a blackout? I didn't know that part. Coffee first. Yep, and that was another thing they were trying to figure out is like how to crash the cell phone towers. Yep. Yep. I'm sure that we have plenty of enemies who would love to do that. That Galadriel, that might have been how they found it. That might have been how they found it. I don't know. Survival Dispatch, was that Such? I actually met Such twice. I met him at Georgia Bushcraft and Blade Show. He's a good dude. He had no idea who I was, of course, but he spent good 10 minutes talking to me about prepping and stuff like that. He was a good dude. Okay, so all right, so Bacon says the amount of radio signals coming from one small area. Okay, that was how they caught it, I guess. Sarge the Oracle. Yep. So that was Sassy that sent me that story. You guys can check. You can go looking for that too. Life 360 selling your data. Not good. Not good. Yeah. So there are options for that, and there's apps and different ways that you can improve your privacy if you want to dig into it. The ATF, I'm going to agree with that. FCC, I don't know. I can't. I know that in the 80s, I think the FCC was definitely very heavy-handed with censorship. Yeah, and again, I'll reiterate that for Galadriel there. If you have kids who are playing online, young kids, Roblox or Minecraft or Fortnite or any of those games, you should know that there are some really creepy adults on those games too that are trying to interact with kids. And my source for that is police officers that I know that work in the sex crimes investigations. Little Rural doesn't have a chat option. That's smart. Good. Smart. Well, Grand Central Station went down with that blackout. Okay. No sound. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. It was just Sassy. All right. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thanks. All right, guys. I want to thank you so much for all the chat. Let me go over and check the poll now. All right. So, why are all the generals and admirals gathering at Quantico? 43% of you saying that it's aliens. 4% say Venezuela. 7% say the drones in Europe, and 46% say mass firings that we're going to be downsizing some military personnel. Okay, I hope it's not the last one. I really do. I hope that's not the case. I didn't vote in this one, but my guess is that I actually think it has more to do with Venezuela, but I don't know any more than anybody else here. Okay, that's what I would have voted. All right, folks, I want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your weekend with me. If you are in the Southeast, make sure you're paying attention to Invest 94, Tropical Storm, Imelda, whatever we're going to call her. She shouldn't be too bad, but it's probably still going to be some flooding and things like that. So pay attention to that. And for everybody else, enjoy your weekend. Make sure you hug your loved ones. Do something fun. Make sure you check out the description down below for some product discount codes that I think you'll like. Don't forget to smash the like button if you haven't already. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. Hey, keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge. Have a good Friday, everybody.